10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Ducks football.
We got to elevate and make our teaching standards elite.
Got him deep. He's open. He's got it. He's gone. It is picked up. Intercepted. Oregon with the ball.
Can't be any type of fading. It doesn't work that way.
20, 50. He's going to score. 10. Touchdown, Oregon.
We invested a lot of time in that, and we expect that to pay off in a big-time way.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
This is the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Country Financial Insurance. Protect what matters. And by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi. Now, let's talk Oregon Ducks football. Alongside Mike Jorgensen and Joey Mack, here's the voice of the Ducks, Jerry Allen.
Jerry Allen on assignment tonight. That means you're stuck with just Joey Mack and Mike Jorgensen. Georgie, how you doing?
More food for us today.
More food.
More food
More
for us.
food is what we like. So we're full of dinner, and we're going to talk with a guy who I hope got a good meal after meetings tonight. Bobby Williams, special teams coordinator, tight ends coach, going to be with us in just a little bit. Looking forward to that. But a big week, Georgie. Anytime you get a win over a rival, feels pretty good around Eugene, Oregon.
Yeah, anytime you make that trip to Seattle and get a win, and it doesn't matter how that W ends up being, whether it's big win, a tight win, whatever it might be, a hard-fought win, which is what it was with the weather being what it was. It just was kind of an odd environment with it being like it was this last weekend. But these guys just fought through. They played hard. All facets of the game were big parts of this win, and it is get to the next week, right? You're 1-0 for the week, and that's what they continue to do.
And Coach Cristobal said earlier this week that the Washington State may be as big of a rival as the Ducks have had in recent years because there have been so many close games between Oregon and Washington State. This is a pretty good Cougars team coming to town.
It is. I mean, 4 of their last 5, and they start 1-3, and all of a sudden they get on a roll and playing some pretty good football, getting a lot of takeaways in games, creating short field for their offense, and scoring points. And again, there's been some wild games with Washington State, and it seems like a lot more over the last 5 to 10 years. And I wouldn't doubt it if it's that way again on Saturday night, Joe.
We'll find out. We'll get a little scouting report on them. Going to hear from a number of student athletes. So many interviews for you over the next hour as we preview the 7:30 kickoff on ESPN, 5:30 pregame show for us across the Oregon Sports Network. Was it a slobber knocker this past weekend? I mean, was that
if
that
it would have been a grass field, that would have been a slobber knocker, okay?
I knew you had a...
There'd have been turf in guys' helmets and mud. You wouldn't have been able to see but, so it was half of it.
Whichever
one you want to choose.
Being down on the sideline, there was a lot of slobber in the air. It was...
and you were wet.
And
it was cold.
But you know what? Jalen Redd's going to talk about that in a moment. He had a great statement this week about the guys that play well in those games are the ones that just love playing football. Yeah. And that's what you love to hear from a guy like Jay Redd. Anthony Brown, Ryan Walk honored this week. Davey O'Brien Award watch list. The only Pac-12 guy who's a semifinalist is Anthony Brown. Davey O'Brien Award, quarterback of the year. The Burleson Award is given out to the best walk-on every year. And Ryan Walk, although getting banged up, he's on that watch list as well as a semifinalist. That's cool to see. And we're going to talk about how Ryan Walk, offensive line, continues to face a little bit of adversity, and they seem to always come through.
Well, and especially when you look at the different combinations and who's been in there and who hasn't, and the way that you have to all of a sudden flip on a dime this last game when Ryan Walk has to leave the game, and Forsyth, who hasn't played for a little while, comes in and you don't miss a beat. So it's pretty impressive what Oregon's offense and the offensive linemen be able to put together, and just the team as a whole, how they've had to work around the various injuries at every position.
We're going to hear from all those guys coming up. Without further ado, though, let's get time out. We're going to come back. Bobby Williams is here with us, special teams coordinator, tight ends coach. We got a lot to talk about. A man who has been a part of 15 conference championships in his career. What's the key to success? We're going to ask him that when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Ready to get back in the game? Great news. The movement experts at Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists can help you find relief and results and keep you off the sidelines. With 15 convenient locations across Portland, contact Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists today at proactivepts.com to see a physical therapist. Proactive Physical Therapy Specialists, a proud partner of Oregon Athletics and trusted choice for keeping Duck fans in the game.
A quiet retirement was never in the cards for 007. Stream theatrical home release, No Time to Die, starring Daniel Craig and Rami Malek. Now available at Redbox. James Bond is enjoying a tranquil life after leaving active service, but his peace is short-lived when an old CIA friend asks for his help. The mission to rescue a kidnapped scientist turns treacherous, leading Bond on the trail of a mysterious villain who is armed with a dangerous technology. Stream No Time to Die and make it a Redbox night. Visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
This week's episode of the Mighty Oregon Podcast, presented by Oregon Community Credit Union, features Oregon basketball star Niara Sabally.
Now Sabally out top, drive, spins to the rim and scores. Out to Sabally for three. Good! Niara Sabally. The Sabally lay it in and a foul. And one for Niara.
Subscribe today to hear her story, in her own words, about the difficulty of overcoming 2 serious knee injuries and her drive to return to the hardwood.
Elevate the standard. This is Ducks football from Learfield.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/our stories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Welcome back inside the Country Financial Studio. It's time for our Pepsi Coaches Spotlight. Along with Jorgie, I'm Joey Mack. Bobby Williams, Special Teams Coordinator, Tight Ends Coach, joining us.
All right, guys.
Hey, Coach, first of all, just thanks for taking the time. I know that it's always a busy week for you guys. There's limited hours in the day, and you're spending a little bit of time with us. So thanks for doing that. And how you doing? Good. Things are good over in the HDC?
Well, thanks for giving me a chance to catch my breath here for a second.
You're very welcome. I appreciate it. So, hey, going into the break, 15 conference championships that you've been a part of in your coaching career. Just when you think back on your career, you think about all those championships. Just one, how cool is that? Two, what's the key to winning so many championships? You've won a few of them.
Well, first of all, it's not because of me. That's for sure. Okay, all right. But I've just been very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of great coaches, and a lot of really, really good quality kids, and they've all learned the formula, and just being a part of a program that where we talk about culture here, and everybody's buying into the entire process of what we're doing.
You got a taste of that right away, obviously, as a collegiate player at Purdue, growing up in the Midwest. Kind of the Big Ten area is kind of the foundation for you, isn't it? Having played there and obviously coached there off and on a little bit before moving on to the NFL and on up, but that part of the country is a big part of you and your growing up in the foundation, wasn't it?
Well, that's where I went to college, but I grew up in St. Louis, which was back then known as the Big 8 country.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys remember that, but no, I when I graduated from high school, went to Purdue, and that's where things started to really take off for me, and played for excellent coach there, Jim Young, at the time, and Leon Burnett, who was defense coordinator at the time. So, just been around a lot of these guys, and some of these, to this day. In fact, I had a chance last week to to say hello to one of my former college coaches, was Randy Hart. And, this guy, he still follows my career. And he's been, coaching all over. But just to be around so many great coaches has been the key.
Your family, and we always like to ask you a little bit about your family. And before we got going today, you gave us an update that's pretty darn cool.
Well, yes, we have a football family. My son, he's in his second year with the Giants.
G-Man.
You just made Jorgie so happy.
They had a big win last week, beat the Raiders, so
yeah.
they're excited out there. And my daughter, she's married to one of our conference rivals here that we'll be facing here pretty soon. But her husband coaches receivers for Utah. So we got a football family. So, hey, every weekend, we're on the edge. And then next week, not be looking ahead, but, next week, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah. Do you talk much to your daughter and
your
your son-in-law that week then?
We talk as a family every week. We follow each other and wish each other, the best of luck every week. So, close-knit family.
But next week that changes a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah. It's gonna be,
Love you, Dad, but.
Oh, yeah. We got a little business to take care of this weekend, but then after that, we'll zero in on the next opponent.
Yeah, no doubt about that. You, Coach, you came here to Oregon 3 years ago, obviously, and joined the staff here working for Mario. Why Oregon? I mean, what was it about Oregon that attracted you here, aside from Coach Cristobal and, some of the staff that was here? Why Oregon?
Well, very interesting question. This was a place that I've always admired for a number of years, and when I was back at Michigan State, we came out here, and this place was amazing then. But unfortunately, I was on the other sideline, and things didn't go so well.
Yeah.
But even as a player, I want to say it might have been either the '78 season or whatever. When I was at Purdue. Oregon came to Ross-Ade Stadium.
Mm-hmm.
That was my first taste of Oregon. So, Oregon's always been, a part of, my coaching profession and playing career. And then finally, the opportunity came where I had a chance to come out here. So
compare this venue to some of the other big ones that you've coached in and been in NFL stadiums, that type of deal. How does Austin compare, being that there's, 57, 58,000, not 90? So.
Sure. I always said, even when you're on the other side, you get to see it from an opponent standpoint of seeing how loud it can be here, and then being here, as a home team member, you see what an advantage it could be for you. But it's an outstanding venue, and you say it's only 58, 59,000. It sounds like it's about 90,000 when it's going pretty good, and it's really an advantage for us.
You talked about your coaching career a little bit. We kind of gave you the Cliff Notes version. I was curious, Coach. You're really a teacher of young men. That's what you're doing every day, and you're doing it through football. You've been in the NFL ranks. You've been through college ranks in different conferences. What's the difference coaching guys in the NFL and coaching guys in college, and why have you kind of gravitated toward college here at this point in your career?
Well, the college, and not saying that you don't have the influence of professional players, because when you coach at the NFL level, you have all different types of players. You have your rookies, you have your second to third year players, and you have your really experienced veterans. Sometimes those guys have been around for 8 to 10 years. So you have different level of players there, and and you have just as much an opportunity to influence them as well as college. But college players they're trying to get to that level. So, you have a chance to really impact them, not only for a professional career in sports, but a professional career for life after football. And that's been so rewarding for all these number of years, just to see the number of guys that have gone through college and have gone on and become successful in life.
Special teams and tight ends. Obviously, you got your fingers in both. But I want to go back 1 week to up in Seattle against Washington. Weather conditions, everything else that Camden Lewis, Tom Snee, special teams had to deal with. What kind of a challenge was that for you guys? And I can't say maybe you knew exactly that the weather conditions were going to be like that. So to prepare for a week like that, how did you prepare if you did know that? And then obviously day of the game, any type of adjustments you have to make when that happens.
Well, you never really can prepare for that type of weather situations. We try to, practice outside when we can, whether it's going to be raining or whether it's going to be cold or whatever. But even still, we try to create situations where the ball is going to be, wet and teach all of the players that's got to handle the ball, even the snappers, the specialists, receivers. I mean, everyone that has to pretty much touch the ball, get used to catching the ball when it's soaking wet. So we try to put the guys in position where we can try to prepare them for that situation. But man, that weather was unbelievable, but the entire team, man, they never flinched, and they just kept going and going and going, and you would have never known that we had a wet ball situation out there.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because I was down there. I was drenched like everybody else, and it seemed like the guys just never wavered. That's what you love to see, right? As a coach, I mean, that's got to be pretty rewarding. Take a little bit of adversity, and I guess you just spit right back in its face a little bit, don't you?
Yeah, and you have to add into there was a significant wind out there too.
Right.
And the first quarter, we had the wind in our face, and we came out of that first quarter just only down 9-3, and really survived a tough situation, and then we were able to gain a little momentum and pick things up.
So with that in mind, like I was talking about it down on the sideline at one point. Hey, the wind kind of factors into how the decisions that you're making, especially on special teams, right? Like when to kick, how to punt, what angle your kicks are taking. Just walk us through some of those processes, if you could, like from your perspective. Like how do you make those adjustments in game based on that?
Well, we want to try to take the win to start the game off, but unfortunately we didn't win the toss, so they got the choice, so we just had to battle through it, because in football, it's going to change, quarters, and then
they got to play in it too.
And they got to play in it too. But we were able to, Camden had a nice field goal into the win that was really, significant. Getting on the scoreboard and getting things going, and that was one of the big plays in the game from a kicking standpoint.
Yeah. Does he have to adjust on something like that? Like if he's kicking into the wind, does he adjust the way that he's kicking? How do you guys coach that?
Oh, yeah, because there was a little bit of a wind in his face, and it was a little bit of a crosswind, so he's got to play that
and hit the ball a particular way too.
Hit it, and everything goes into play as far as the hold and his approach, and then how he has to strike the football.
Yeah. Yeah, it amazes me sometimes, Joey. You forget about the little things that are big things in a game like that. You just talked about that with Camden Lewis. I can remember, I think one of Washington's first punts back there to Micah Pittman was a knuckleball. And a knuckleball in the wind, I can't imagine trying to receive that and catch that cleanly back there, let alone the return that he had to set up a touchdown. And Tom Snee, I wouldn't say from an average standpoint, had one of his better games, but no return yards against him type of situation. So, it was one of those ones where sometimes those special teams plays get missed, and how important they were in that victory.
Yeah, every time we go out there and kick the ball, that's a huge play in a game, and you only get the one shot. There is no first or second down. I mean, it's only one down and one shot, and you got to make it happen on that one play.
Yeah. It's kind of a running joke, I guess, and I don't know if joke is even the right word, Coach, that like after a game, is it true that special teams, you guys, unless it's like a game-winning field goal, you just want nothing to really be noticed? How true is that, like in your line of work, at least for the fans from the outside? Like, do you guys want to just always have it be perfect execution, no one ever thinks about it?
Well, no, not necessarily, because you always want your special teams to have a significant impact on the game. As far as your coverage units being able to control the vertical field position. From that standpoint, the return game, being able to set up some type of scoring position, for your offense. So, I mean, every opportunity is a chance to gain some type of field position.
All right, quick timeout if we could. When we come back,
we got
more
plenty of questions.
We got plenty.
That.
We got to talk a little bit more about special teams, tight ends. Bobby Williams kind of takes some time out of our day. It's our Pepsi Coaches Spotlight. Back to the Oregon Football Coaches Show just a minute on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Here's how Duck fans take flight with OCCU. Start with a Lucky Duck savings account. Move up to a Duck debit card with free checking. Then graduate to a Duck credit card. OCCU makes your financial journey easier with fewer fees, higher rates on savings, and lower rates on loans. Discover the OCCU difference at myoccu.org/GoDucks.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
You're listening to the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
It's 4 a.m., Monday, and you're literally sucking baby snot through a tube because she's congested. Man, that's love. And if you love her that much, love her enough to make sure she's buckled in the right car seat. To make sure your child's in the right seat for their age and size, visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Show them you love them. Keep them safe. Visit nhtsa.gov/the right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. They can help save lives by not having play dates. That's right. By replacing get-togethers with virtual play dates and video chats, they can help slow the evil spread of germs. And if your superheroes do go outside, make sure they continue their superhero wing by staying 6 feet away from others to protect everyone in America land. Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Back on our Pepsi Coaches Spotlight inside the Country Financial Studio. Joey Mack, Mike Jorgensen, Bobby Williams joining us, special teams coordinator, tight ends coach. Jorgie, back to special teams.
I got one more question for you on special teams, coach.
Yes, sir.
How do you evaluate who plays kickoff return, punt coverage, kickoff coverage, all the various positions? How do you go about that evaluation for those important positions?
Well, one of the things we do, we meet on special teams every day, and so we decide, as a coaching staff, what guys that we can use, and we have a combination of a lot of different players. We have some starters on there. We have backup players. We have some of our walk-on players on there. I mean, we have so many different guys that have contributed this year on special teams, and some by because they want to do it, and they have the desire to do it. They have the talent to do it. And some of it because of some injury situations that we've had. So, but the guys have been great. They, we have a lot of fun.
It seems like it.
Yeah.
Camden Lewis is perfect on field goals. I know Coach has talked a lot about kickoff coverage. You guys wanted to improve that this week. He seemed to think today, Coach, you guys took a step this week. You feel that way with your kickoff coverage heading into this weekend?
Well, we always feel good about, the things that we're trying to evaluate and get better at in a practice standpoint. But the bottom line is, how we do on Saturday,
right.
and that's going to be the true test for us.
I get one more.
Okay.
I get one
right.
more. What's the biggest difference? Camden Lewis kicking the ball great this year. Obviously, has worked his rear end off. So is Cattleman, obviously, in the battle that they had. Tom Snee and kind of his maturity as a punter. What's the biggest difference between those guys last year to this year that got them to where they are?
Well, they're older. That's the first thing. They're into their, third year, and so they've gotten a lot stronger. Their bodies have developed. They've taken some individual instruction, during the off season that have really helped them a lot. I think their weight training has really kicked in quite a bit. Their physical development as they get older. They develop more core strength to where they can get more power into the ball, that type of thing.
Your special teams, big focus. Also, tight ends, big focus for you. You're doing a lot of different things, Coach, wearing a lot of different hats throughout practice and meetings. The tight end room, you talk about player attrition and dealing with some injuries, you guys have had to do that a little bit in the tight end room this year, haven't you?
Well, this is the first, not the first year, but this year as compared to a year ago, we got a little bit more depth at the position. So, with the addition of our two freshmen and some of our older players, they've really developed and really are starting to come into their own a little bit. The way we utilize our tight ends have been great. We've been able to play 3 or 4 guys on a consistent basis, and they've been doing a great job.
Hate to ever focus in on a specific player or two, because I know they all do it as a group. They do it well, and all of them play. But you got 2 freshmen that really have blossomed quite quickly. Was that a surprise to you?
Well, we knew that they were going to have to help us, and they didn't know they were going to get thrown into the fire as fast as they did. But Terrence Ferguson and Moliki Mataval, they've been a great addition to the tight end room, and those 2 kids have really done a great job. They've grown up in a hurry, and the big stage has not affected them to the matter where they are hesitant. These guys are very aggressive, and they're a lot of fun to coach.
What about DJ Johnson, Coach? I mean, talk about an ultimate team guy. It seems to do play on both sides of the ball. He just does whatever you guys need him to do.
Yeah, DJ, I mean, for him to be able to do everything that we have him do from an offensive standpoint and then go over there and play on defense, and our defense is I won't say it's, extremely complicated, but man, it's a lot to learn over there on that side of the ball. And he's done a great job, going back and forth, between the meetings and the practice time, and then having the game time that he has on both sides of the football.
They're not just high-level receivers. They're really high-level blockers, too. And I guess, not to go back to the 2 freshmen, but as a complete group, that's really important for the offense to be able to have success. And it's an expectation you have, obviously, of those guys, too, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Well, last week, we rushed the ball pretty good, and they were a big part of that, being able to create space for our runners. And they have to be able to be ready to get their hands dirty a little bit.
When you're recruiting a tight end, Coach, it's such an interesting position because they got to be able to catch the ball, got to be able to block. I feel like it's probably one of the more difficult positions to evaluate when you're recruiting. Is that true? I mean, what do you look for when you're going and looking for the next tight end?
Well, one of the things that we were able to do with these 2 young men is that before we were shut down because of the pandemic last year, we were able to see them actually perform in person. We were able to get to Vegas and get to Colorado, Denver, to see those guys. So anytime you get an opportunity to see someone in person, to get a self-evaluation up close, that really helps as opposed to just going off of video evaluation. Get a chance to see, how hard they work and that type of thing. What are they doing when they don't have the football in their hands, that type of thing.
We talked about it at the beginning of the show. A Washington State team that's on a winning spree right now. They start out 1-3. They've won 4 of their last 5. Play tremendous defense, obviously scoring the ball. I'm sure special teams, which nobody really gets a chance to look at that as much. I think they see the highlights, and it's always touchdown or big turnovers and takeaways and that type of deal. But tell us about the Cougs and why they're having the success that they're having right now as they come into Autzen Stadium Saturday night.
Well, they are playing with a lot of confidence. Not only are they a talented football team, they have a really good scheme. They're good at what they do. They're up-tempo, and they just do a fantastic job, and they keep a lot of people off balance by what they do. So we're going to have our hands full, and we're looking forward to it. The guys are excited about this weekend, and looking forward to tonight.
Coach, I'll end on this. We talked about just the experience at Autzen Stadium. I mean, Coach, how nice has it been to have fans back at Autzen Stadium, to have a true home field advantage, and even on special teams? I mean, it's nice to have that big cheer after a kickoff every time, right?
Well, last year was like nothing I've ever experienced in my entire career. So that was just totally,
wild,
unbelievable. But to have the people back and just to see the fans, how excited they are, and the support that they give us out there, that's always awesome.
Bobby Williams, thanks for what you do, and here's to a 16th championship, huh?
Sounds good.
All right. Bobby Williams, special teams coordinator, tight ends coach. Coach, thank you so much, and get some rest, and then we'll see you at Autzen on Saturday.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks,
All
Coach.
right. When we come back, going to hear from a bunch of student athletes, including Camden Lewis, talking about a lot of different things here coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
A quiet retirement was never in the cards for 007. Stream theatrical home release, No Time to Die, starring Daniel Craig and Rami Malek. Now available at Redbox. James Bond is enjoying a tranquil life after leaving active service, but his peace is short-lived when an old CIA friend asks for his help. The mission to rescue a kidnapped scientist turns treacherous, leading Bond on the trail of a mysterious villain who is armed with a dangerous technology. Stream No Time to Die and make it a Redbox night. Visit redbox.com for all the ways to watch.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Ducks football lives here on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When might you be buzzed? When you suddenly love everything.
You guys, I love this song. I love these nachos. I love our kickball league. Ugh! I love this guy. What's your name? You know what I'd love? A ride when it's time to head out.
If you see a buzzed warning sign, call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
I love your car. Is this real leather?
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We're back inside the Country Financial Studio. Our thanks again to Bobby Williams for joining us, special teams coordinator, tight ends coach for the Ducks. Our Coach's Spotlight brought to you by Pepsi, locally owned Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks, drink Pepsi. Throughout the week, our entire village of interns, as we always say, goes out, records a bunch of interviews. I do some, Scott Phillips does some, Jerry Allen's always around, and we've got tons of those for you over the next couple segments. And we're going to begin today hearing from Jalen Redd. Hey, the weather was a conversation point. It was pretty wet. I won't say that it was like the monsoon during the Cal game at Autzen Stadium a few years, but it was certainly something that the Ducks had to adjust to. Coach Crispell said they handled the adversity well, and I loved what Jalen Redd had to say when he was asked about playing in those sorts of conditions.
It can happen. It's going to be rain, wet, but at the same time, it's going to be like one of those old school football games when you was 9 years old, when you first loved football. That's one of those games, as my coach say, Brian McKinnon, them games like that, them slugfest, is going to show out who really loves football the most, because that's how we really started playing football.
Yeah, Brian McClendon, I can just hear him saying that, honestly. The wide receivers coach for the Ducks talking about him. Jalen Redd, he performed well in that big play that he made, that first catch, I think really got the Ducks offense going. Now, I thought this was kind of funny. Anthony Brown actually took some criticism this week about his performance, the Ducks passing game, not generating as much yardage, but remember, Coach Crispell said when we talked to him coming off the field at halftime, he's like, no, we're not going to throw the ball in this weather. That's not what you're going to do. We're going to run the ball. We're going to run it well. That's exactly what the Ducks did. But still, Anthony Brown got some criticism, and he got asked about, hey, tough criticism in that kind of weather, huh, Anthony?
I don't know what to tell him. Should have been out there.
I can confirm I was out there. It was tough to throw the football. And Anthony Brown really, I thought, did a commendable job. Apart from that first interception, the Ducks took care of the ball really, really well in a very wet environment. And Travis Dye, just that interview with Anthony Brown this week, we're going to hear more from him coming up, but pretty funny response from Anthony, really. I thought he had fun with that, as he should, and Travis Dye agrees.
On the field, he's the ultimate competitor. Anthony Brown, he wants to win more than anybody I've ever met.
Off the field, he's one of the funniest guys I know. Anthony he can make his couple jokes in, before, we hit the field and all that, and but off the field he's a great dude, and he's for his teammates and for his friends and family, and you can tell he has great morals. And he's just a great dude all around.
Great dude all around and a good sense of humor, as Travis Dye mentioned. And Travis Dye, we continue talking about him, and what a performance against Washington. A career high in a number of different categories, and it was with the Ducks facing some adversity on the offensive line. It really sucked to see Ryan Walk go down. Worst part of sports are injuries, and Travis Dye talked about that this week.
Yeah, just like you said, it's not the first teammate, and so it's like a redundant kind of thing. You just get frustrated, angry at those types of things, especially a guy like Ryan Walk, who's been working his butt off all year, and he's such a great player, such a great leader, and for him to go down like that in that kind of fashion, it sucks, and you feel for him. But Ryan Walk's a competitor. He's going to be out here next year bigger and better and faster.
And he probably will be back this year, is the report on Ryan Walk. And his roommate over the last few years, since they got to Oregon together, has been Alex Forsyth. And he had just amazing things to say about Ryan Walk.
Yeah, Ryan's a guy that I look up to and I compete with every single day on, it doesn't matter if it's a lift or conditioning session. We're best friends and we're brothers, so we compete in everything. We'll play NCAA football when we get home on the 360, and we'll be yelling, screaming at each other. So we're really high competitive guys. So we've been with each other, pushing each other every single day since we've been here. And he's a guy who really just grinded, and he's living the dream. I mean, he grew up 2 miles down there, or a mile and a half down that way. So, he's a guy who just chased his dream, and it's really inspirational to see him really achieve his dream of, starting for the Ducks and playing. He did a tremendous job at center. He plays all three interior positions really, really well, and he deserves every recognition he's getting because he just busts his butt every single day. And you ask anybody around this program, it doesn't matter who it is, and I guarantee you they'll say the same thing. So he's an inspiration to all of us, and he's a true leader on this team and someone we all look up to.
Awesome stuff. Alex Forsyth talking about Ryan Walk, who is up for the Burleson Award, which is given to the best walk-on in college football, which is, man, I'll tell you what, I think he's going to win it. And speaking of a guy who's gone through injury, Alex Forsyth was just there. He made his return after Ryan Walk exited the game in Seattle. Forsyth talked about the injury and how tough it is mentally going through an injury like he did.
Yeah, no, I think 100%. I think it was just tough for me. Like I said, I've never been a guy that has missed any time with sports and stuff. And football is, it's my life and it's what I love to do. So when that gets taken away from you, it's pretty hard. Especially when you're watching all the guys going out there and have fun at practice and having a blast on game days. It's tough, but I'm glad to be back out here and just practicing and playing and stuff. So
Ducks were glad to have Alex Forsyth back. There's no doubt about that. Continuing on the offensive line front, Stephen Jones, hey, we know that they've been talking about next Duck up all season long, and they've had to along the O-line.
Just the biggest thing we've been talking about all year is next man up. When one dude goes down, you got to be ready to go back in. Or if you haven't been in yet, a dude goes down, you got to be ready to go in and play. So seeing Ryan go down, that was heartbreaking to see. Luckily, I think he'll be fine in a few weeks. But it's just got to keep on pushing. We got a game to win, so whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes. The offensive line embracing that, and the depth has been certainly on display. We've heard the phrase Swiss Army knife a lot this year. Alex Forsyth on that offensive line depth.
Yeah, no, I think it's a tremendous kudos to Coach Mirabal and how he cross-trains everybody at every different position. I'll give a shout-out to Dawson because he's had to play literally every single position so far, so he's done a great job. And it's kind of funny. You'll be in the game, you're like, oh, this guy's next to me now. Like, what's up? Like, haven't seen you in practice, or haven't been with you in practice, and so you just got to go out there and roll with it. And we trust everybody in the room, and we're a really tight-knit room, so there's a lot of trust and a brotherhood there. So I think that goes a long way for us on the field.
I have this vision now of Alex Forsyth walking out onto the field and seeing someone new next to him and just being like, "Oh, hey man, like, what'd you have for breakfast this morning?" Like that's what's happening. And the Ducks, for example, a couple weeks ago, they had a group of 5 on the offensive line that had never practiced in that orientation before, and then they had to go in the game and perform and just play football, and they've done that. Travis Dye said this week, man, he loves his offensive line.
Yeah, it's made my job a whole lot easier. Just knowing that, my offensive line is knowing what they're doing at all times, no matter who's in there. It makes me run more comfortable. It makes me block in protection more comfortable. You know, it just having some guys out there who are experienced, who play with each other, and who can do it all. It's just wonderful.
A career day for Travis Dye, one of only 4 FBS players to lead their team in both rushing yards and receptions this year. Travis Dye has been outstanding. Stephen Jones talking about the running back he blocks for.
Baby Don, that's my brother right there. I mean, he's really stepped it up as a leader. He's been a leader here since he's been on this program, but you can see within the last few weeks he's really amped it up himself. And my bad. And he's been controlling us. We go out there on offense, and he walks up to every O-lineman and tells us, "You the best player on the field right now, and I don't go unless you go." So us O-linemen, you know, we take that to heart. Seeing some appreciation from somebody, I mean, that means a lot, whoever it is. So when Baby Dye's back there, I'm going to block for him regardless. Put my heart into it.
That's team guy and Travis Dye. And Stephen Jones, a nice man to apologize for bumping a microphone there mid-interview clip, but when he's on the field, I don't think Stephen Jones is going to apologize for much of anything. And he talked about the Ducks' really dominating performance against Washington.
We always tell us we're not going to win the game on Saturday. We're going to win the game on Tuesday. We're going to win the game on Wednesday. We're going to win the game in block destruction that the O-line, D-line does. So just seeing that completely unfold and us being into our proper fits and everyone doing their job in sync, it was amazing. It's amazing to see that. But, I mean, that's what we've been doing. We just got to keep on chasing it, trying to elevate it and do it even better than what we did before.
I just want to run through the wall after hearing that. Stephen Jones, we're going to take a break. When we come back on the Coaches Show, we've got a lot more. We're going to talk about the playoff rankings. Ducks are number 3. Does that change anything? Back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Well, Bob, I don't like Hunger's chances here, not against this feast of an IHOP defensive line.
That's right, Jim. They got burgers, chicken sandwiches, french fries, bacon, and condiments as far as the eye can see.
Heck of a lineup, Bob. They've been slaying Hunger in the backfield this whole season. Makes you wonder how Hunger finds the courage to get back out there.
Empty tummy, 42 pancakes. The blitz is on, and Hunger is demolished once again.
It never stood a chance, Bob.
Tackle your hunger with IHOP's Game Day Family Feasts.
You're listening to the Oregon Football Coaches Show. Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
If a natural disaster comes knocking, how prepared is your family? You can't just close the door on earthquakes, floods, or hurricanes and hope they go away. That's why it's important to make a plan now. Ready.gov/plan has the tools and tips you need to prepare your family for an emergency. So if disaster shows up at your doorstep, you'll be ready. Visit ready.gov/plan and make a plan today. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
Back in the Country Financial Studio, we continue talking a little Oregon football. Now going to hear from some of the guys on defense. Talk about the playoff mentality. Look, Ducks number 3 in the college football playoff rankings. Seems like they control their own destiny. Got to go 1-0 against the Cougars this week. Brandon Dorless, does the playoff mentality change at all?
We know what time it is right now. November's the grind time. You know, every game's a playoff game for us, you know. So they try to throw us off, saying upset alert, all this, you know, just staying focused. That's going to be a big key, staying focused on the goal. Taking one game at a time, going 1-0.
And Anthony Brown, on that same subject, he talked about playoff expectations this week.
Honestly, just trying to keep my teammates in the mindset of not worrying about it, and really worrying about who else is right in front of us, or the next day, next meeting, whatever the case may be. Because, like we used to talk about at BC, winning is hard, and you know that here. playing in the Pac-12, everybody is really good. So just staying in front of us and staying 2 steps ahead of everything.
That's leadership there from Anthony Brown, isn't it? And Johnny Johnson touched on just the leadership that Anthony Brown brings.
His character, he's always the same person every day. He likes to bring guys with him too. I think a big thing is he helps us stay away from the noise and keep us locked in. His poise is a big thing for us. Just his character overall, he's a great guy, great teammate.
Talking more about Anthony Brown again, Davey O'Brien Awards semifinalist, only Pac-12 guy on that list. Guy who's on that list too is Justin Herbert. Travis Dye compared him.
Oh man, they're completely different quarterbacks, but the mental is there for both of them. I was around Justin for a while, and just seeing him, how he moves, and what his mental capacity is, it's very close to Anthony's. And they act very different when it comes to preparing for a next game and being here for the team. They're very similar, but play-wise, they're very different.
Next, scouting report on Washington State. Wasn't that interesting, though, hearing how they're similar but different from Travis Dye? Popo Amavai, what's the Washington State offense look like this year?
It's like a run and shoot, so they spread from the offensive line. Their O-line is spread out way farther than most O-line. You got 0 personnel, which is no running backs, no tight ends, just receivers. And I think that's a different because, like I said, we're spreading it out and just being ready to run to the ball anywhere and be ready on the field.
So you got to be able to run to the ball, and it's not just those receivers, as Jordan Happel lines up for you this week.
Yeah, no, it's a big game, obviously. Washington State does a lot of stuff with their offense. Obviously, they're a very pass-heavy offense, but they can run the ball, too, which I think a lot of people fail to recognize. They got some really good running backs, slot receivers, outside receivers, a good quarterback. Their offense is very hard to stop. They put up a lot of yards. So we have a tough task ahead of us, but we just got to do our part.
Great to see Jordan Happel back out there, too. Got the interception with the club on his hand up at Washington. Travis Dye, his brother had a club on. Dye's brother did at one point. Travis Dye on the Washington State defense. How do you tackle him?
Yeah, no, they're definitely a great defense. They're not the biggest team in the world. They're not the strongest team in the world, but they're going to get after it for sure. They remind me a lot of myself. They just, they have lots of heart, and it's going to be a hard-nosed game. It's going to be definitely. We're going to have to work for this one always, just like every other game. We can't take it lightly at all. They're a great team, and we have to come out and hitting on all cylinders.
Coach Cristobal said that this has maybe become a rivalry game for the Ducks, especially the way the last few games have gone. Washington State has played the giant killer to Oregon's giant a few times this last decade or so. Jalen Redd knows that better than anybody.
Definitely. Their record does not change the respect that I give towards their organization or their program. I know what type of team they got. I know how they play. I know how hard they play, what type of organization they're around, how they coach, all that, the ins and outs. So I can't come out thinking no less of them because of their record or anything like that. I got to come on and just like it's the national championship, just like I think they're going to come out, you know what I mean? So that's how we're going to attack it.
Last point on Washington State, Alex Forsyth, he knows that the Cougs are going to compete here at Autzen.
Yeah, I think that's a tremendous kudos to their program and, what they've been able to build there. I think they present a lot of challenges offensively. I don't really watch their offense, but seeing it in the years past, I know they run a lot of difficult things, especially defensively. All the movement they do that can kind of screw with offensive line. So we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great challenge. I think that's something that's challenged us in the past, and you watch the film and it's a challenge for not just our line, but it's a challenge for every single offensive line out there. They run, like I said, they run a lot of unique fronts, stemming, slanting, literally everything. They kind of open up the playbook against us. So it's going to be, a really, really good challenge for us.
Alex Forsyth on Washington State. 7:30 kickoff, 5:30 pregame show here on the Oregon Sports Network. Now on special teams, we talked to Bob Williams earlier. Camden Lewis, great things to say about a guy who you never hope to notice. Carson Battles, the long snapper.
Well, consistency is the biggest thing when it comes to really any specialist. Snap speed, spirals. He throws the ball really fast. He gets the ball back there quick, under 0.65 seconds every single time. And the consistency, he does it every single time. So you don't really hear about him messing up a whole lot. And he's one of the best players on our team, and no one really knows about. No one knows about that. No one realizes how good he actually is and what a value it is to have that until you watch, Washington snap the guy over. Like, it's just. You don't notice that kind of stuff, but I think that's what makes him so good is the fact that he does it every single time.
Camden Lewis on Carson Battles, and Camden Lewis has also been perfect this year, 9 of 9 on field goals. Well, he made one big field goal, and he beat the Cougars. That was a fun one, wasn't it? Camden Lewis remembers that.
for sure. Yeah, they definitely don't like me up there. But I don't like to, think about the past too much. Like I don't want to think, I made this kick that week. Obviously I want to kick a game winner every week, but just another game, Just same way I've been approaching every game. Just have fun, go out there and do my thing, Just relax. I think it'll be good weather, good game. I think it'll be fun, but I can't think, I don't want to look back and be like, think a certain way about a game because of a way I played it in the past. You know what I mean?
He has been really fun to watch this year. And just his mentality, you can tell he's having fun out there. He talked about that this week, wanting to have fun. Football's supposed to be fun. It has been fun for Camden Lewis. His mindset has been outstanding. When we come back, some final thoughts, also having a little bit of fun talking about uniforms. You heard that right on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, son. How are you feeling?
I'm fine, Pops.
What's on your mind?
I can't explain it. Navigating without a compass, eyes waiting, started to wonder. Metamorphosis, the loss of who you thought you was.
When your kid can't find the language, help them find the lyrics. Listen to the Sound It Out album and get tips and tools to start a conversation at sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by Ad Council and Pivotal Ventures.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Is this tree good for climbing? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
Jelly. Jelly adjective. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt US Kids, and the Ad Council.
What is dedication?
My daughter started making necklaces. She makes what we call affirmation fashion. I tell her every day that your black is beautiful. And if there's anything better than being beautiful, it's being smart. And if there's anything better than being smart, it's being kind. And reaffirming that every day is our method of making sure her chin never drops.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Joey Mack, Jorgie's coming back up with us in a moment. I thought this was kind of fun this week as we get ready for Washington State. One of the things that happens every week, uniform reveals, photo shoots. Johnny Johnson taking you inside the process for the uniforms every week.
We've done the modeling for the uniforms this season. How does that go about, and what that process is like?
I don't know. We just go out there, take pictures, man. It's pretty cool. It's pretty fun. It's regular. It's nothing too special.
Is it done before the year starts, or is it a week-by-week thing?
It's a week-by-week thing.
Are you volunteering for that, or are you?
I do when they ask me. Well, whenever they ask me, I'm ready to do it, man. It's no big deal to me.
You get the inside scoop a little bit before everybody else of what you guys are wearing.
Oh,
is that kind of like locker room gold?
Yeah, y'all gonna see Thursday, Friday, whenever they post it, whatever. It's nice though. It's gonna be hard.
Do you know before the rest of the team does, though?
Oh, well, me and Verone kind of plan out the uniforms throughout the whole year, so that's kind of what we do. So,
okay.
Yeah. It's kind of hard.
Do you guys have like a two-man committee that meets each week?
Yeah, us, the EQ dudes, we kind of chop it up and plan out what we're wearing the whole year.
Are there ever disagreements between the two of you?
Yes, there is.
How about that, right? So Johnny Johnson taking you inside the uniform process, the photo shoots that Josh Phillips and his team put together every week. And, yeah, so it's him and Verone. They're officially, I guess, can they put that on their resume that they were the Oregon Football Uniform Committee?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah. Might land you a pretty sweet job in the future,
At Nike?
Yeah.
We've had a lot of former student athletes go do that. So, yeah, Johnny Johnson, Verone McKinley, your resident uniform committee for Oregon football.
Fashionistas.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, good show, Jorg.
Yeah.
What do we miss?
Fun.
Washington State's pretty good, huh?
Yeah, they are. And you think about what they're doing with no Rolovich and a bunch of new coaches and still having the success. And really, you got to tip your cap to where they are right now.
Yeah, I think that Jake Dickert, their defensive coordinator, is now the interim head coach. He's got them playing hard, and this might be the best Cougar defense we've seen in a few years.
Yeah, and maybe one of the better defenses they've seen this year, too.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. It's a 5:30 pregame show for us on the Oregon Sports Network, 7:30 kickoff, televised on ESPN. Our thanks to Bobby Williams, special teams coordinator, tight ends coach, for coming on. And here's another few field goals for Camden Lewis, huh?
Uh-huh.
He's been playing really well, man. He's been playing really well. I'm Joey Mack for Scott Phillips. Skip Ambrose helping us out. He's Mike Jorgensen. Cougs are in town. See you at Autzen on Saturday.
This has been the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by Country Financial Insurance. Protect what matters. And by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi. The preceding has been a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.